Hello, guys. What's up? I think I'm going to take this one before John was about to jump back in there.
I was about to jump in, but I was just so eager. It's a habit I've got, bro. I'm going to have it.
Welcome back to the MMA Huddle, guys. We're here for UFC 262. It's Will here with John. Nice to see you all again. It's been a little bit of time. I've been... real life stuff's been going on, and I've not been around as much. And like I said, I'm going to try and get here for the pay-per-views, but I've had Wi-Fi not working for numerous times. I've had time spent in the hospital, you name it. I've had shit come my way in the last 6 weeks. It seems like 8 weeks maybe. So, but I'm happy to be back for this card here, where we've got the kind of unification, or we're going to find out who's the new champion in probably the best division in the UFC at lightweight, as Charles Oliveira faces off against Michael Chandler. Great to be back, John. Hope you're well, brother. By the way, it's my birthday today, so everybody say happy birthday to me, please, because I've been feeling my age today, and my wee girl's been around like, "Daddy, how old are you?" I'm like, "You don't need to know that," but she asked her mummy, and she was like, "He's this age." So yeah, I'm getting old, but I'm still here with it now. So, but yeah, I'm really happy to be back for this card. Good card. We're gonna have a full crowd in Houston. Texas judges is always something you should watch out when we go down here. But yeah, good to be back, John. How are you? And you're looking forward to kind of going through this card?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm happy that I'm doing the card with you, bro. It's a sick little card, man. It's a pretty decent pay-per-view, I've got to be honest with you. I know we lost Leon Edwards and Nate, which is, I'm not too fussed about losing it, because I just think it's going to be a one-sided battle. Like, anyway, I think Nate's going to get an absolute pasting, but it doesn't matter. It's a good card all around. Here's your birthday present. I got you a protein bar. So I'm just going to pass that over to Will. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah. Look, bro, I'm glad that you're back, and I'm glad everything's good with you. And obviously, you got a lot going on. But fights are happening. It's a sick little card. Michael Chandler comes along, has one fight in the UFC, gets a title shot. But I'm happy that Charles Oliveira is getting a stab. Like, the kid has been fucking insane at 155. We've had great people tuning in the past few weeks on the podcast, the live streams that we've been doing. We've had new faces joining the comments. We've had some great audience and great commentary. So I'm looking forward to this one as well. It's a stacked card. So fingers crossed, we should get a lot of people tuning in and hopefully just get the conversation flowing. We'll pop the comments up as we do as always. But if you're new to the channel, we're nearly at 1,300. We're just like, we're creeping up slowly. We're nearly at 1,300. If you're new to the channel, just hit the sub button. While you're there, hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds. You're on Pornhub long enough. Like, you can just jump on our channel and press the buttons to, subscribe and do all that stuff. But yeah, bro, looking forward to the whole stack card and what's going on with it.
Yeah, so let's get straight into it. We might as well get straight into it. We lost, from what we literally just found out, that we've lost Jack Manson against Edmund Shevchenko. It's not like it's been cancelled, but it's been moved to next week's card. So kind of interesting to see what the reason is for that. But hey, we're still in these COVID times. I know we're getting towards the end of it, but we're still losing fights on a week-to-week basis and stuff happening. So yeah, but let's get into this card. I'm kind of going off what Wikipedia has here, because I know they've not got that fight on there. So we're starting off with a fight that got put together fairly short notice. Christos Giagos against Sean Soriano. And John, you can lead us off with this one, mate.
Yeah, Sean making his long return back to the UFC when he got cut back in like 2015 or something. Yeah. So, kudos to him, though. He's worked hard on the regional scene, and he's earned his way back into the big time. He fought a guy who, his last fight was against Noad Lahat. Now, I don't know how many people know of that kid, but he's like a really good grappler, really strong grappling. He was on UFC card as well. He was on the UFC radar, Noad, as well. So I think that helped him get back to the UFC by beating a former UFC fighter. Watching Sean on the regional scenes, he fought in, like you say, UAE Warriors, CFFC, and CES. I always have to double check when I have to slow down when I name them, because it's a freaking nightmare. But watching him on there, he had some good fights. He did lose as well on the regional scene. Like, he went on a bit of a losing streak, like on Legacy and CES, but he's got power in his hands. He's got good pop. If he gets on top, he gets a bit of grappling going. he seems to be well. He fares really well when he's attacking himself. He does really well in that regards. Also, Roadrunner, great to have you back. Keep up the great work, gents. Great content. Otto, great to have you on, brother. Hope you're doing well. Now, for Sean, I think he's coming in short notice, which is a big factor in this one because with Giagos, he's not the best fighter we've ever seen in UFC, but the dude's got bags of energy. He's got bags of, I want to say enthusiasm. It sounds like he's like a child. He's full of enthusiasm, but he is. He's full of beans. The guy goes crazy and hard, and he's just a grinding fighter. The guy is hard work because he just puts a pace on that not everyone enjoys. And Giagos isn't the cleanest fighter, but if you look at like Damir Hadzovic, he had a good stint against Damir, and Damir in his own right is a tough nut. Hirota, it was a good fight there. Don't get me wrong, lost to Charles Oliveira. Sure knows what are you going to do in Charles Oliveira? Like he's fighting for the title right now on the same card. Draka close just at a higher level. Carlton minus. I don't think he's any good, and I didn't think much of him, to be fair. So I thought Giagos could have at least got a finish there, maybe to start getting those, get those finishes out of the way. But it's a shame. Joy B, great there. He missed Big Willie. Everyone misses a Big Willie, don't they? I told you to be back, Joy. I told you, I'm not lying, brother. But for me, mate, I think Giagos should be okay here. The short notice for Sean is going to be a factor. He does crack hard. I just think the pace that will be put onto him might catch him out a little bit. And I think that's where he might come unstuck in the fight. And it is at 155 as well, where if you look at Sean's kind of resume, he's fought a mixture of light and 145. So he might find himself on a little bit on the small side here, which is a factor you've got to look into as well. I just think Giagos got the kind of strength, size, and kind of relentless pressure. He might be able to just wear Sean out, especially come the second, third round. So I'm on decision for Giagos here.
Yeah, I was really happy when I seen Sean Soriano get brought back to the UFC because I thought his initial run way back 5-6 years ago. I mean, when you look at the opposition, Chaz Skelly, Tatsuya Kawajiri, and I think it was Charles Rosa. I mean, they're all guys that won fights in the UFC and multiple fights as well. So having that kind of early on in your career, it's a tough nut to crack. Like I say, I think the big thing for me here is the size difference. Like I think Giagos is he's a big lightweight, and he can ragdoll on people a bit. He can grind you out a little bit. But like I say, it's not a fight that I've watched too much into. I'm trying to find some of the kind of latest Sean Soriano fights to see kind of what he's been at and where he's improved. And you kind of see him with Kamaru Usman all the time. So you have to think being around that and being out with Trevor Whitman and kind of just learning little things from that. I'm going to go with Giagos as well. I think he can grind it out a little bit more than what Soriano can. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. But I've not watched a hell of a lot on these two. So I'm kind of going to have to refresh my memory as I go later on into the week. But I'll go with Christos Giagos to kind of grind out a decision. But I think the sharp hands of someone like Soriano could maybe give him a little bit of trouble. But Giagos is not one for really getting knocked dead with shots either. So I'll take Giagos for the W there. Kevin Aguilar against Tucker Lutz is up next. This one... Again, really interesting fight. Good match. The one thing I will say about this card actually is the betting lines are all quite close. So the bookies think these matchups are going to be fairly close, and I usually quite like cards like that where the betting lines are quite close. Kevin Aguilar, to me, I think he's kind of really faded off. He's kind of fell off the cliff a little bit, and he's kind of UFC tenure now. I'm just kind of surprised he's maybe getting himself another shot in the UFC. Especially after kind of, to be fair, the Rosa one was close, so maybe they're just giving another one off there, but then they're feeding him to a guy in Tucker Lutz who's coming off the Dana White Contender Series, who, when I was watching previously on that show, I was like, I don't see his ceiling, because he fights out of Maryland, which is not a big place. I don't know if he's went to another camp or anything at all. I actually really like Blackledge, who he fought last time out. But he got himself a contract out of that. Like his last two fights, I don't want to say he's kind of underwhelmed me a little bit, but I just think, I don't know what his trajectory in the UFC is going to be. Is he going to be a guy that comes in, fans out after a couple of fights? Is he going to win a couple of fights? But I do think this is a fight that he can have success in a little bit. But then you've got Aguilar, obviously, with the UFC experience. Lutz, the one thing here, you're back in front of fans. Some of these guys have not fought in front of fans, especially at the UFC kind of start. You've seen that at the last pay-per-view where the fans really, I think, actually G'd up all the fighters for that entire card.
Yeah,
it could happen here. So I think I'm going to lean Tucker Lutz, but I don't know. I think Kevin Aguilar, because he's usually solid and his chin's usually kind of quite reasonable there, where he can take a lot of shots and just kind of come through it and come after you a little bit. But Tucker Lutz is going to be my pick. Not overly confident in it, but that will be the pick there.
Yeah, it is hard to look at this and think, what can Kevin do? Because I've been disappointed. I've actually been gutted with Kevin Aguilar's just kind of decline quick. Now, we say this, but don't get me wrong. Dan Ige is a solid fighter. Charles Rosa, pretty solid guy as well. And Tugugov is they're not nobody guys in the UFC. Like the three guys he's lost to, they've all got decent wins themselves. They're all decent fighters in their own right. So it's not like he's fighting, random guys from the regional scene. They are good fighters. The Rick Glenn fight, he got a win, and Enrique Barzola fight, I thought that was probably a solid win. But Tucker here is going to come in with a huge amount of confidence, massive win streak. He lost his debut in 2015, but since then, the kid's not felt defeat. He's 11 straight, which I think momentum is a huge thing to go into a fight. For Aguilar, it's I lose, I get cut. Skill set wise, Aguilar, like you said, Will, he has got a good chin. He's got decent cardio. He's got grappling. He can throw. He's got in his own right. He's got a bit of power in his hands in his own right. He's hurt dudes in the past and hurt them bad. I just don't know if maybe he's just not clicking in the UFC for some whatever reason. I don't know what it is. A mental block. Tucker, and like you say, Will, in Dana White Contender, he got the wins. He kind of earned his right by getting 2 decision wins. But Brendan Loughnane didn't win, got a decision win. Absolutely mollywopped his opponent and didn't get in. So it's a weird one. Again, you think, I don't understand the logic between how they're picking guys in to come into the UFC. But yeah, I'm a bit stuck with this one as well, Will. I kind of think Kevin Aguilar's got that veteran knowledge in the UFC and obviously fight knowledge. He's had a fair few more fights, but I kind of go with Tucker just because he's a new, fresh pair of legs, so to speak. He's got huge momentum in him. His skill sets at the moment have not been blown away. He's got good conditioning. He seems to have decent enough hands, but I think Kevin can maybe take a few shots. But I would not be surprised if Kevin Aguilar gets a decision win by using wrestling and grappling it down a little bit, maybe something to do, little points decision win. But I go Tucker, mate, but I've not got the most confidence in him at all.
Yeah, it's in Texas as well, so that's where Aguilar, I think, fights out of. So he may be G'd up a little bit, and he might, because he's probably his job's on the line here. He loses this one, he's
huge.
Yeah, he's going to be long gone from the UFC. So tough fight to call though. Women's flyweight division, we've got Gina Mazany against Priscilla Cachoeira. Gina coming off a big win. Priscilla's pretty much a walking zombie. How do you kind of see this fight kind of going?
I think it was not fair that I had to do tape study on it, to be fair. That was the worst bit about it. Only thing I can say, Gina at 125, she does look better. It does suit her, that weight class, certainly suited her. Physically she's strong in that weight class, so she doesn't seem that she's outsized or she hasn't got short reach or anything like that. Now, she did beat Rachel Ostovich, who at the time was like 4-6 or something crazy. She was like a 6, like she was a minus fighter at the point. It was. I wasn't, and even then, like you just saw the openness in the grappling aspects between them, where Gina had some dominance, but then she gave up silly positions. Rachel had opportunities to get the fight away, but she couldn't get the fight away. She did hurt Rachel a couple of times, but she just didn't have that finishing touch, Gina, in her. And it's still that thing about her where I look at her and go, I just don't know where she's going to get this killer finish in her. With Cachoeira, like, let's be honest, mate. Like you said, walking zombie comes forward, swings, and if she misses, she keeps swinging. By about the second, third round, she's gassing. She's trying to breathe out of her arsehole, and she's trying to pull out a win out of her head. You know, she got the stoppages against Shayna Dodson, but Shayna Dodson, for me, she just walked into that punch. It was just watching it back. I'm like, gee, it's not even like it wasn't even tight boxing where she popped it up. Like she literally put her arm back and went, here it comes, and went boom, and then got her still. I just think Gina's probably going to just be fighting dirty. She's going to get close, get to the cage, grapple fest, get to the mat, grind her out. Priscilla's just going to be gassed by the second, third round anyway, because I don't think she has ever heard of a skipping rope. Don't think she's heard of a treadmill or a rowing machine. I think cardio to her is a dish in Brazil or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be rough for you. But I'll probably go for Gina in this one because I think she can wrestle it. Hey, Gustav, good to see you, brother. Good to have you on. Yeah. Yeah, I think we all got a feeling. Gina's camp, I think she's still with James Krause, isn't she? And Tim Elliott. Yeah, she's with Krause and Elliott and all that lot.
I think that's going to be a big thing here with that being coming from that camp, because James Krause is actually you look at coaches who can game plan really well, and you've got Mike Brown at American Top Team. I think James Krause does it really well too. I think he's very smart. Yeah. I think this is a tailor-made matchup for Gina Mazany. I think when you look at her betting line, like she's minus 210, and I'd be confident kind of playing that, honestly. I think that like Cachoeira, she's going to come forward and be so aggressive that she's just going to be open to takedowns all night long. She needs to land that big shot on Mazany to really win the fight, and I just don't see that kind of happening, honestly. I think that Mazany can hold her own a little bit on the feet, but I think if she's smart, she can take this down. She comes from a wrestling background because Crazy Dave Mazany, I think, is her brother. So, and coming from that camp at Glory MMA and Fitness, I mean, they're just skyrocketing through with a fight.
Grant Dawson as well, Viz grappling.
Grant Dawson, Jeff Molina. I'm sure there's other guys that I'm missing as well. But
one of the greatest featherweights ever to exist, Megan Anderson.
Yeah, she looked great actually last time out against Ostevich. Now, what you can take of that, I don't know. But I mean, is Cachoeira all that much better than Ostevich? I don't know. I think she a little bit maybe, but I don't think she can grapple all too well. So if this is not a stand-up and bang fight between both girls, then Priscilla, I don't think it's got much of a chance. I just see a smart fight from Mazany, potential finish on the ground, and I think she wins this fight fairly comfortably in that one there.
And everyone's agreeing as well, Will, in the comments, bro.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's hard to really lay money. If you're going to lay down money, you don't really want to do it in Priscilla, who's like eats shots for breakfast pretty much. So, yeah. Moving on to middleweight division, Jordan Wright against Jamie Pickett. I've said this before. I cannot stand Jordan Wright. I cannot stand him. And I really don't think he should be in the UFC at the minute. I think he's one of these privileged kids, and not taking away, like, I mean, he's came up in Beverly Hills, and it's not his choice that his mother and father like made shit tons of money. But I've watched some of his interviews where he comes across a little bit of a privileged prick. I'm just like, dude, I just don't like it. But then you look at his record, and his record is shocking, like really bad in my opinion. Like, I'm sure there was some guy on Twitter today, I think it's Brady from DFS by the numbers. I just caught it quickly, was in the car going somewhere, and he's like, before he went to the UFC, I think his opponents were 0-36. That's the records combined. I'm like, whoa. I mean, what the fuck's going on here? So, Jamie Pickett, to me, not the greatest fight in the world. I think he's very solid, good chin, can take a few licks, and keep on coming forward. Jordan Wright, to me, he's all right. He's got some decent kicks, but I just think this is a good fight for Jamie Pickett. And like I said, I've not been overly impressed with either guy, but I think Jamie Pickett's tougher. I think he can round out this fight a little bit and kind of win. I think he can maybe knock out Jordan Wright in the kind of later points of this fight. So I'm going to take Jamie Pickett via knockout. I'm not sure in this Jordan Wright kid at all, and especially maybe is he at dog money? Is he a favourite? It's So it's minus 110 apiece. So it's where it should be in my opinion. But I'm going to pick Jamie Pickett for the win.
He's a smarmy looking little prick.
Oh, he is.
That's the only way to describe it. Smarmy little prick. I tell you what, if I could get down to 185 again, I'd just wrestle fuck him. If I take away the fact that I don't like him, I think that he has fought such a lower level of guys. He can't handle guys who have got a bit about him. He doesn't do well. Jimmy survived, which isn't great. Finished by Jordan. Now, MMA maths can kick in as well, so it's a bit weird with that stuff when you look at some of the guys like Chris Bird stopped Jamie Pickett back in 2017 with triangle choke. Charles Bird, which is weird to think Charles Bird got a triangle on someone with those legs. How he wrapped them around someone, I don't know. But he does look a bit bang average, Jamie Pickett, as well. But he's fought tough guys in his career, which is what I like about him. You know, his second fight, he lost his debut to a guy who was 2-0. So he fought someone who had better experience. Won his next one against a guy who had 4-2, and he was 0-1, which is, kudos to him. It's postponed, absolutely good. Yeah, we were all good as well, because we just found out, brother. We found out before we did the podcast, and we looked like right plunkers. But you look at Pickett, though, he just fought tougher dudes the whole way through his career, basically. He's had, harder guys, maybe some of them are a 500, but they had, twice as many fights as him, far more experience. Got Dana White contenders. He was back in 2017, a bit early, but he went out there after that, and he has fought other guys. He's got a bit about that in Chookagian fight. I'm not being funny. Could you imagine Jordan Wright being in that cage with him in Chookagian? He would have absolutely filled his pants. Absolutely filled his pants. And I was impressed by Pickett's performance. I thought he did solid. And I think when he sees someone like Jordan Wright who tries to do the Wonder Boy Thompson thing, but just doesn't quite work, I think Pickett just knows he has to get in his face, fight dirty with Jordan Wright. He doesn't like it. He got absolutely sparked by Anthony Hernandez, and Hernandez got that robbery, got made as a no contest. He got absolutely battered by him. The Ike Villanueva fight was just absolutely gopping, and Jarquin Buckley absolutely messed him up. But I think Pickett should get the W here as well, bro. I just see him getting taken away W here.
So moving on to the main fight of the prelims, the Fight Pass prelims. I've got a funny feeling this might.
I don't know what it is, but you sound really quiet, Will.
Really quiet on my side.
No, there you go. It's starting to pick up now.
There we go. Let me just check my cam here on my mic, I should say, and make sure it's in. Yeah, it's there now. There's nothing there.
It's okay. It's better now. It literally just dropped off there. It sounded like you were talking on the other side of the room.
All right. Okay. Last fight of the UFC Fight Pass prelims here. I've got a funny feeling this might make its way to the main card with the Hermansson Shevchenko fight coming off. So Lando Vannata against Mike Grundy here. Good fight. I think it's got all the kind of opportunity to be a really exciting fight here. Vannata fights are usually like that, to be fair. How do you see this one kind of going down?
I'm just made up to see Mike back after his injury, the jaw incident with the Aguilar fight, which I think spoiled that fight. Not to get anything away from Aguilar. He did the right thing. He landed the punch. He did the damage. But I was so curious about that fight and how it would have played out with the grappling aspect and having two of them. And it just kind of took that edge away for me. So I was absolutely devastated when that happened to Grundy. But when I look at what Grundy is, he's a dirty wrestler. Lando's got nice kind of smooth striking. He's got a bit of durability about him as well, to be fair, because he goes a lot of decisions, but he does get hit too much for my liking. And he has got wrestling as well in his background, Lando. He's got solid wrestling, but I'm just curious to see how he'll handle it, because I think Mike's going to focus a lot more on the wrestling in this fight to get back in the W column. And if I'm Mike, I'm just going to try and wrestle fuck for 3 rounds. He's got the capability to wrestle for 3 rounds, heavy and hard. He's lucky he's fighting Lando, because I don't think Lando's a KO guy. He doesn't hit you KO power. So I think that Grundy could definitely go for those takedowns a lot for the 15 minutes and just make it an ugly affair. When Mike gets on top, he's got heavy takedowns. UFC betting. Here we go. Grundy's shooting for 15 takedowns in every level. I'm sure he can take Lando down, who Bobby took down 3 out of 3. Exactly. That's a big thing about it. it's how the output that Grundy can put out. He's a machine, absolute machine. I thought he was hindered with his takedowns with every leg with that broken jaw because it affects your takedowns. Because when you engage with the takedown, you make contact with a thigh and you turn the corner, you press with the head. He probably did find difficulty pressing with that head as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Grundy can just wrestle this fight all the way, 3 rounds, heavy ground and pound, just land those numbers, get those points ticking over on the board. It's just one of those things. Lando, he had that moment when he came into the UFC where he looked like he had a bit about him with that Badesky fight. And then all of a sudden, kind of like, he's never done anything since him for me. I'm just being like, he's just there, isn't he? He's just in the UFC. But if we lost him, I wouldn't lose any sleep if he wasn't on the UFC fight card anymore.
Yeah, I don't. When you look at, I was just looking at his record there, and it's like he's been like there's not many wins in his columns there, and it's like you've got a couple of draws. Obviously, that kind of buys you some extra time. But I mean, the guys that he's beaten, McDessie, to be fair, he's a solid veteran that can kind of he can look decent in some spots. And Marcus Mariano, not great. Medeiros, Yancy Medeiros, I think he's a little bit on the downside of his career now, and he won that one there. The way this fight's going to come down here is if Grundy can get his takedowns. If Grundy can get takedowns, I can't remember off the top of my head, maybe 4 or 5 against Evloev. And I'm sure he got did he not have a submission in play where he nearly caught Evloev in a really big
first
submission?
round?
Yeah.
First round, end of the first round or something?
Right, yeah. Initially, he's going to have to watch the hands of Vannata, who that's if he wins this fight, if he stops takedowns, I think he can kind of keep a fluid pace for the 15 minutes. I think that he could potentially kind of piece up someone like Mike Grundy, but I think Grundy's just going to. I think he can absolutely see a path to victory here. It's just use his strike. And remember, we've seen him knock out Nad Narimani as well, so he'll not be scared to sit there and kind of slug a little bit. And Vannata, once he starts to, his head movement's never been great. Once he starts to fade a little bit, he's wide open for shots to the body, up top. I just see this being Mike Grundy being able to get takedowns pretty much whenever he wants. Not unless Lando Vannata's made some big improvements there. Now, I think he does come initially from a wrestling background. But to me, I just see this as a really good opportunity for Mike Grundy to get the fight to the ground, keep him there, beat him up with some heavy top pressure, and kind of win out a decision, maybe even get a TKO if he can get some heavy shots out on top. So I'm going to go with Mike Grundy to get a win here. This would be a big win for him over in the States in front of a crowd. So I'm looking forward to that fight. That's one of the fights I am looking forward to this weekend is Mike Grundy and Vannata. But I'm going to take Grundy for the win there. Moving on to the prelims, we've got Andrea Lee against Antonina Shevchenko. I am terrible at Antonina Shevchenko fights because when I think that...
Everyone is.
Yeah, when I try to fade her, she shows up and she shows a grappling game. And just kind of, when I think that she's maybe turned the corner, she'll get choked like she did against Caitlin Chookagian, where she's kind of getting beaten up and she's getting taken down. And she's a hard, and for me, she's a hard fighter to cap. She really is. Now, I'm expecting her to come out here, and both girls come from a striking background, but you'd have to think that some takedowns are going to kind of take place in this fight here. Andrea Lee is someone that I think has been taken down on kind of numerous occasions. I can remember her last fight there, where she got taken down by Roxy, I think it was, got her down a few times, but she also got takedowns as well. So she's shown that she can get takedowns in spots as well. But if you've got someone who's physically stronger, like a Moriferi, like a Lauren Murphy, she can kind of get caught in the ground a little bit and kind of get exposed. And like I said, this is another big fight for her. I think she's on a 3-fight skid. Her last one was Montana De La Rosa, where again she got takedowns there, and really her striking really won her that fight. But if they two are a rematch, I think I'd be on the Montana De La Rosa side. So for me here, I'm just interested to see what Shevchenko's going to do, because our grappling's pretty non-existent as well, if we're being honest with you. So if I'm expecting this to be a stand-up affair, I maybe lean on the dog. But then when I look at Shevchenko, she might be able to get takedowns and get some top position. But then I'm thinking, can Andrea Lee maybe do the exact same and maybe she'll initiate the takedowns, try and fight safe? Because I don't know who's the actual better striker here, in my opinion. This is one of these fights I'm going to sit back and watch. I think I'm going to take Andrea Lee. Like I say, I am terrible at picking Shevchenko fights. And it's just not a confident pick on my side here at all. But I'll lean with Andrea Lee in a very, very close kind of back and forth fight, close rounds. And then, like I said at the start of the show, we're in Texas. The judges could be all over the place. I think the judges actually recently have been shocking. They've been a little bit all over the place. So Andrea Lee is going to be my pick. Not confident, though.
Nice. The NBC getting tickets for the fight card. Nice, bro. Good to see that, man. Sweet little score. I'm liking that. I think Shevchenko says to improve her game is something we have taken into account because she's serious about it and make. Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. Obviously, she has, but she has made an effort. But I think training with her sister for such a long period of time, I've got to be honest. I was hoping to see a bit more from her from the get go because if she's trained with her sister for so long, you would have thought that she would have just picked up a lot of the traits that her sisters don't do. Because I don't know if maybe she just didn't take it as serious, like you say, the MMA side. She is 36 as well. Don't forget, it's not like, Antonia's, she's not like she's 30. She's 36 now. So it's another thing. It's age kicking in. How long she's looking to go herself, I can't see her ever fighting for the title. I just feel like she's a bit short on areas in the fight game to really be in that elite side. The Lipsky fight, though, she showed that she went, good, I can stand with you, but I can also grapple fuck you all day long. And that's what she did with Lipsky, got her down, and she put on a class little clinic on Lipsky with a ground and pound and just kept her pinned down, didn't let her get away. Second round, Lipsky just got battered, she just couldn't move. And so there's that little side of it as well, which I was super impressed about. It was a tough one to take into account when And here we go. Antonia was molded into pressure fighter. Valentina is a counter striker. There's Moyes, our boy, kicking in. Good to have you here, bro. Well, that's with Andrea Lee. You've seen her. She bites down that gum shield. She comes forward. She likes to throw her strikes and just put a bit of an output on. She does have some takedowns here and there, and she's been losing like split decisions in like the Calderwood, the Lauren Murphy. She's not been getting dominated in fights per se. I just feel like maybe her fight IQ isn't quite there. That really loses the fights for her. And that's one of the things that I worry about with Andrea Lee, bro. I'm with you as well. I was hyped for Andrea Lee getting into the UFC. I was on the train of like, this girl's going to be fighting for a title potentially. When I watched her on the regionals and etc., she's had stuff going outside of the ring, which was made a fact that maybe that could have had an effect in her fight camps, in her training, and in her life in general. Really, Kevin, what you saying there, bro? Should make improvements like a sister with a grappling. I already have 1.5 units on it. Woo! Here we go. I can see why you say that. I think I'm going to go because I'm not 100% sure on either. I'm kind of like Will a bit torn, but I'm going to go with Shevchenko on it because Will's obviously went with Lee, so I'll go the opposite way. I'm not uber confident on either one of them because I think that, like I said, Will, big factor is both of them can land takedowns. They've both shown it. If it could be a case of who gets that one first, can take the round, and then that's it. The fight's over. So, and I don't know if either one of them are willing to want to go for the grappling or just try and stand it and bang it out. They might just grit their gum shields and go for it. And if that's the case, I still don't know who's going to win it because Andrea Lee's tough as nails, mate, when she comes forward and starts striking. So I'll go Shevchenko, decision, like a split maybe, but I think it's going to be a tight fight. I think it's going to be a good one as well to watch, to be fair, because I like the pair of them. They've got a bit of grit about them.
Yeah, I think I'm interested in that one a wee bit just because I'm not sure. Like, it's hard to be confident in either side, honestly.
Yeah.
But I seen, I was like, Kevin there's got 1.5 on Shevchenko, and I'm thinking to myself when you were speaking there, I was like, if Shevchenko the spot here, I'm just like, I don't know, I just can't get my head around that fight at all. So I'm kind of interested to see how it plays out a little bit, but we'll catch up with that one. This is one that interests me as well. Matt Schnell, Rogério Bontorin. Is it myself or is it yourself? I think it's
me,
you.
bro.
Yeah, go for it.
125. Bontorin. I don't know what it is about him, but I just feel like he's not reaching those levels. Like he had the Magomed fight, split decision, looked okay in that fight. The Pavard fight where it was cut decision, lost that fight. That was a nasty cut anyway on him. And he looked okay in some spots in those fights. Ray Borg's just he's a different gravy, to what Bontorin was. He just didn't know what to do with that fight. The Kaikar France one, though, that was surprising that he got caught. I thought he would have had the better advantage with the hands, because I thought maybe he was going to be a bit more powerful with the striking. Got caught there. Matt Schnell's one of those weird ones, isn't he? Because the dude is like, let's be honest, if we go back a little bit, you just saw him getting stopped a fair few times. You went, the dude's got no chin. All of a sudden, he got stopped in 2019, but over the night, he got the Tyson Nam the split decision win, the Lou Smoke Espinoza. He's got submissions off his back, so he's deadly from the backside of things if he gets put in his ass. And Bontorin has shown that he goes for takedowns. He can get takedowns in fights. He likes to get on top, and Schnell's got those limbs to get those submissions in him. Matt all day, his grappling will shut the Rog game. Yeah, on the feet, Matt is much better striker and cardio. And it's one of those ones, isn't it? It's Matt Schnell. You think, maybe he's a bit chinny. I don't know if he is chinny. I just think he's a solid dude. He gets caught because he leaves himself a little bit exposed. It's going to happen in fight game. You live and you learn. You die by the sword. It's one of them ones. For me, Bontorin, I think he might fall a bit short in this fight. I think with the kind of reach and distance management, I think he'll fall short of the striking. Because he'll fall short of the striking, then he'll want to engage with the grappling. That's where Matt Schnell might go, cool, I like the takedown happen because I'm happy to fight off my back. I'm triangles all day. And that's where Bontorin, he can get caught in a triangle choke or whatever, armbar, whatever it is. I think you might see a sub-win here for Matt Schnell.
I'm struggling with this one because I instantly, when I seen this fight, I was like, I've never, I've kind of been hyping up Bontorin a little bit, but then when you watch his fights, the guy makes some silly decisions in there, and like he's been in spots where you're like, dude, like I really lost confidence. I bet him pretty heavily against Ray Borg, and then I thought, right, this guy can stifle a takedown. Even if he doesn't, I think he can get back to his feet. Nope, he could not. He could not. Ray Borg ragdolled that guy really, really badly. Then I think I want to say I bet him again against Kai Kara France, and he gets the back, and he's got the rear naked choke. I'm like, this is it. He's tapping. And then gets back to his feet, and then he gets knocked out. I want to say a minute or two later. So I don't know whether it's just a loss of confidence. I think the cut down to 125 is not the greatest for him. I don't think his fight IQ is overly high. I have been really impressed actually with Matt Schnell recently. I think that he's really into his prime of his career now. I think he's in his early 30s, I want to say. Went to American Top Team early on in his career, and then he's kind of moved himself out to California. And I think he's one of those guys that prefers probably being in a smaller camp where he'll have more eyes on him and kind of more engagement, where American Top Team there's fighter after fighter after fighter that's needing help in that. So, and I think he's been very impressive recently. Even the Tyson Nam one, Tyson Nam's a big hitter, doesn't throw enough, but he's a big hitter, and if he catches your chin, can knock you out. I'm still a little bit skeptical about his chin, but I think Bontorin could make mistakes here that Schnell can absolutely take advantage of. That nice long languid jab. I think he's got a really decent choke game that if you put your head in the wrong place, Matt Schnell can make you tap. And I just think overall he's putting it all together better than Bontorin. Like I say, Bontorin, he's screaming at me for me to bet him in this fight, but I've did it a couple of times, and I think I'm like, right, learn my lesson and maybe not go anywhere near him until I've seen that he's maybe stopped that bad fight IQ. So I'm going to lean with Matt Schnell. I think that he's, like I say, he's just kind of putting it all together a little bit better for me right now. I think he's recently had a kid. His head seems very switched on. He looks ready to go. So I'm going to go with Matt Danger Schnell. I think that he will just put it all together a little bit better than what Bontorin will, and probably win out a decision. On to the main fight, the prelims here, a really interesting fight. Two Jets guys here. We've got Jacare Souza against Andre Muniz. And I think it's kind of interesting here. I think a lot of kind of recency bias is making this betting line a little bit closer than what it needs, because I think, in my honest opinion, I think that Jacare Souza should be, I don't want to say a heavier favourite, but it's a pick'em. So it's minus 110 a piece at the minute. But I think this is a good stylistic matchup. I think this is two guys that aren't overly great on the feet. I think that they will go for takedowns. I think that that's just the way that most of their fights kind of play out, especially Jacare. I don't think you can trust him or his chin. So for me, I can see this one being just a grappling affair. And I think that when it hits the mat, I think the more just the better grappler I think is Jacare Souza. I think a lot of people are off him. They're writing him off because of what happened against Kevin Holland. And like I said, I was really high on Jacare going into that fight, and like he got the takedown. I was like, yeah, that's it. Keep going like that. But then he walked out from the bottom. Not great.
Weird.
But like I say, he is a declining fighter. I don't want to say declining, but he's just an aging fighter. And we're seeing that more and more nowadays, where your time comes and your time goes. And I think his time is coming. That I don't think we'll see him around the UFC within. I think this time next year, I don't think he'll be in the UFC. I think we'll see him in a PFL, or we'll see him in a Bellator cage. But I just think that this fight will hit the ground. And I think the better ground fighter is just Jacare. I think he holds position better. I think he'll fend off any submissions threats that Muniz will throw at him. On the feet, like I say, you kind of do worry about Jacare a little bit because he's taking a lot of damage. And like I say, I just think that the chin is definitely kind of deteriorating a little bit. But I can see this being a grappling affair, and I'm going to go with a more consummate grappler, in my opinion. And that's going to be Jacare. So I've got him for the win there.
And to be fair to Jacare, he's only been stopped twice by strikes.
Yeah.
In his career. Which, when you look at who he's fought, that's not bad going, is it? Like, that is not bad. Even the Blachowicz fight was 205, and he didn't get stopped then. Like, he went up in weight class. The Manson fight again. But then you look at Chris Weidman fight. The dude showed hands in that. Showed a bit of boxing. Showed a bit of pop in his hands. Brunson fight, again, hands and feet. He showed a bit of skills about him. He has got a bit of pop in his hands. I think if you look at striking, he's definitely a stronger striker. I think Muniz has to go for the takedowns. I don't think getting Jacare down is going to be that easy. He's so strong. The dude is so strong. And we've seen it time and time again. When he gets on top of guys, it's insane how much they don't move, like how much he just controls the position, how they try to get away. And when they do, they're just exhausted because he's got such a way about making you carry his weight. Now, Muniz is a good fighter, don't get me wrong. What are you saying there, bro? Do Muniz know Kung Fu, though? Doubt it, bro. That's it's all about the Kung Fu, probably. Muniz, like Fabianski, that's a bit of a jump. I still think that's a bit of a jump, bro, as well. I'm with you. Like, you go from Araujo to Fabianski to Jacare, that's a freaking jump. No matter who you are, I don't care if Jacare's lost a couple. Jacare, he lost to Hermanson, Blachowicz, and Kevin Holland. They're not exactly bad fighters. You know, it's not like they're awful. He lost to some good to reputable fighters. I think it's a bit of a surprise matchup, but then again, it is the kind of grappler. For Muniz, it would be the I reckon it'd be the career highlight for him beating someone like Jacare, but I just don't think he will. I think Jacare should either cause him problems on the feet or even get his submission himself. He's just too dominant for me. But yeah, I've got to go Jacare as well, bro. I think he's got a bit of everything about him. He's just fought way too better guys as well.
Okay, guys, before we get into the main card here, if you can throw a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, throw a subscribe on there. And just help us grow the channel slowly but surely. We're getting to where we want to be. So let's move on to the main card now. Like I say, it's only 4 fights right now. Something from the undercard here is going to move on up. But to kick off the main card, Jesus Christ. Shane Burgos against Edson Barboza in the featherweight division. Great fight. Looking forward to hearing your analysis on it. Who have you got in this one?
You don't get a chub on hearing that match getting made. There's something wrong with you. Bloody awesome fight. Because you know what it is going to be. Dan, I see you here, bro. Hermanson wasn't scared to grapple Souza. Don't be surprising me just the same. No, it is true. It is true. I agree. And Munoz, that's his strongest aspect, so he has to. Shane Burgos, like, I'm not being funny. It was a tight fight against Emmett. That was a tight fight against him. But I love Barboza because he absolutely battered Amir Khani. I don't know about anyone else, but I love seeing Amir Khani saying, "Yeah, I've been practicing my boxing, done amateur fight, and then Barboza, who's not known for landing his hands, he usually cuts his hands up to go, look at my shiny gloves, and then kicks you with deadly kicks. Put him on his ass numerous times with the punches. So I made my day. That was just Christmas all over. I loved watching that fight back again. Just watching. But for me, though, Barboza looked good. He did look solid. Takedown defense looked good, too. Amir Khani went for takedowns. Barboza looked strong. He looked well in that fight. Looked good for the 3 rounds. Didn't look like he was too tired or anything like that. So I was happy for that. Will's like, it is, that's brother. Right. It is. I know. I'm like Brendan Fitzgerald.
That's right. Into the big one.
But for me, Shane, though, one thing about Shane Burgos is he's got a great amount of pressure. Like, he just walks forward. He's got good head movement. If you watch him, he does look like he's getting hit more than he should, but he's got good movement. He moves with the punches. He moves away. He's good at getting away with that, He is. What's this? Amir all day versus Landwehr. Oh, yeah, Landwehr. I saw that fight getting made, yeah. That was a weird one. But, for me, Burgos, he's got heavy hands. He's got leg kicks as well. He's got the head kicks as well. He's got a nice combination like Barboza does. Barboza, for me, is definitely faster. He's quicker. Barboza's got a new deal with the UFC, so he'll be happy with that money coming in. So for Barboza as well, even if he would lose this fight, it's not the worst thing. The thing for Barboza that sits well, it's not like Shane Burgos isn't a grappler per se. He's not going to try and grapple with him. That's what Barboza doesn't really want. Barboza wants a Burgos, a Jeremy Stevens. He wants those style of fights, suiting down to the ground. But I might actually go for Burgos because one thing we've seen with Barboza is pressure. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like people in his space. He likes room to analyze you and pick a shot and pop it in quick. And he likes that bit of a distance. He likes the give and take. He likes the give and take. Burgos just takes that distance. He just takes that space away. And Barboza on the back foot isn't that great. If you watch his fights in the past, he's not too strong on his back foot. So I think that's something he could have a problem with. I listened to a really good breakdown of this fight that convinced me Barboza decision. Woo! Feel free to put down who it was, bro. Whoever made the breakdown. We are 1-1 with the breakdown, folks. So we don't, say, ours are only listen to us. Yeah. We are up for everyone getting their own. That's why we have you guys join the conversations. We want to hear your picks and your opinions. But, bro, I actually go Burgos because it's just the pressure that can happen with him, and he isn't one punch KO guy. Edson is a consistent, powerful point fighter. That's the thing you've got. Can he get the points on his back foot? It's easy going forward, but it's hard as fuck fighting back. So I'm going to go Burgos just because I think the output, because you're not going to get like Emmett came back with cannons, like nuclear weapons with his counter striking on his back foot. You kind of don't get that with Barboza. So I'll go to Burgos for the decision, but Barboza's sick, man. He could just kick a liver and that's it, done.
I'm on the Barboza side here. I'm fairly comfortable in the spot. I don't think he's looked bad since he's went to featherweight. I think he's looked really good, actually. He's had some tough fights, and I think he's been done dirty a little bit. And he's like, before the Amir Khani fight, I still to this day think he beat Dan Ige, but it's a split decision fight, a close one. You can't really complain. But when I watch it back, I'm like, I think Edson did enough to win that fight. The Paul Felder one, I thought exactly the same. I thought he won that fight, but with the judges, you just don't know what they're seeing. And then Amir Khani, he really just that superior striking was really just on show there, and he just kind of beat him up pretty handily. When I look at this one here, I just think he's too. What's the word I'm trying to find? I think he's too technical for someone like Shane Burgos. And Burgos, to me, he's a pretty good technical striker himself, but I think he's there to kind of get caught, because sometimes I think he gets a little bit flat-footed and he stays in the same spot. I don't want to say he's an easy fighter to read, but I think once you work him out a little bit, I think that you see the spots a lot easier. And I think that he sometimes gets a little bit too emotionally involved, where he can pressure too hard and get hit with big shots. I think that I just like Barboza in this one. I think that it's going to be a close fight. I think if Barboza, the way I kind of see it is, initially I think he's going to just land more bigger strikes across the first couple of rounds. I can see him fading a little bit, and that's where maybe Burgos can come into it. But Burgos, I think, does have the power to knock out Barboza if he can catch him with the right shot. I just think Barboza, to me, is just going to do enough in a striking fight, in my opinion. But what I will say is that I'm really happy for Edson Barboza for the simple reason he wanted a set amount of money, and the UFC gave it to him. And like that, props to the UFC, because when I heard that Barboza was like, I'm not signing another contract, not unless I'm getting this money, I'm like, oh, dude, I think you're on your way out. I think I'll probably see you in Bellator or PFL, whatever. Yeah, it's a great fight. It's probably up there. I really like the main event. I really like, obviously, Beneil and Tony, but this one's around there. Burgos, the guy I love watching fight because he's super aggressive. I had money on him against Emmett, and I was like, going into that third round, I was like, yeah, let's keep on doing what you're doing. He was in that fight, and then that pressure, he came forward too hard against the wrong guy in that division to come in quick against, and Josh Emmett, and got put down a couple of times there, but managed to kind of ride out and get to the decision there. I just like Edson Barboza. I'm actually really tempted to bet Edson Barboza. He's a plus money underdog now. So, and I don't want to say it, like, I'm really interested with the Tiger Schulman guys as a camp, because I think they're a close-knit camp. You've got RC, you've got Rivera, you've got Trezano, who fought the weekend. And I was a little bit miffed about that, because I thought Klein would win that fight.
Klein won that fight. He did. I
really thought I had money on Klein via decision. I was like, it got there. I knew it was kind of close, but Trezano, I thought he fought a better fight than initially I thought he would. I thought the betting line was kind of off money line wise. I thought that if you're going to take a shot money line just in a straight fight, I think that Trezano was the shot there, but I thought Klein won that fight. I'm really interested with that, like I say, that camp, because I think I'm not sure about their trainers, because I've listened to them in between rounds and stuff, and they're a little bit kind of meatheads, and I'm like, I'm not sure about that. But Burgos is a great fighter to watch. I like Barboza here, though. I think I'm going to bet him, and I think I have to go on that soon, because I think it'll end up being a pick 'em round about fight time there. So.
It's good though, because everyone's kind of mixed on reactions as well in the comments. You know, it is a tough one to pick. It really is.
Fight. It is. It's a good close fight, and that's what I kind of like, is these kind of types of fights. So, Caitlin Chookagian against Viviane Araujo. I'm going to edge Araujo. Are you right? I was wondering.
Was that Caitlin?
I was like, what's going on? I was like, are you replaying or something? Something going on there? But no, I like Araujo in this spot as an underdog. I think that, like, Caitlin Chookagian, to me, I think she is really at the tail end of her kind of fight career. She's talking about having family and so on, but she keeps coming back and kind of proving me wrong a little bit, because I thought that someone like Calvillo could come out there, and I don't want to say tie her up a little bit, because she's got grappling of her own. She knows what she's doing on the mat.
Trains at Enzo Gracie's, in New York, which is legit. Trains with whatchamacallit, Gordon Reinlott and all them, Death Squad. She trains with tough, like, legit grapplers.
That's it. If you can't hurt Chookagian, and you get into like a tit for tat fight on the feet, then you could very easily lose a decision here. And I think that when you watch her fights, like Calvillo, to me, I thought that she had to kind of really attack and try and get takedowns more in that one. Couldn't really do it. I think she got the odd one in that one. And she landed her strikes as well, Calvillo, but you could see that the more, it just looks better in the judge's eyes when you see her landing and kind of making that sound and so on. Andrade obviously hurt her really badly before that. Shevchenko, she used her grappling coming off that loss to Valentina. So she's a hard fighter to face, says Chookagian. She's one of the worst kind of girls to face because she uses her length quite well. She's always on her bike. She's always moving around. And she has got some ground skills as well. Where you look at Araujo, she's been a surprise to me since she came into the UFC, I'll be honest with you. Because I did not... She came in very short notice against Bernardo a couple of years back. Up I think she was up 2 divisions as well. And then she came out there and she won via knockout in the third. And then she's just been beaten up in some of these kind of elder veterans. You've got Alexis Davis and Roxanne Modafferi. She got takedowns in the Modafferi fight, which was something that we've kind of seen in some of her fights. She did that against Jessica. She did it against Alexis Davis. But she's a really good output striker as well. So I think this is predominantly going to be a fight on the feet. I'm going to go with Araujo. I think that she'll land more. But I can see this kind of maybe being a split decision because Araujo, she kind of, I don't want to say she fades off, but she does get tired when she gets into the third round. But if this is a striking affair, I think she's the more varied striker with her hands and her feet. And I just think she'll do enough to win the decision. So I've got Araujo for that one there.
Yeah, she has got pop in her hands. That's the difference. Definitely the difference is she hits harder and kicks harder. You know, I feel like with Caitlin, she's the points fighter. She's thrown them out. She's making contact like a taekwondo, you know, that kind of thing where just making the contact just so that she kind of goes, touches, judge, I just touched her. That's a point for me. I feel like that's the way she fights. You don't see, when you see Caitlin, you don't see a killer. You don't see her going for the kill. You don't see her like trying to pile on the pressure when she thinks someone's a bit tired or someone's a bit hurt. Like Jessica Andrade just kind of threw a kind of random strike, like not a random strike. She threw a strike that didn't look like much. Her Caitlin chased her down like a fucking predator and just went off on it, and that was it, over. I've never seen that in Caitlin. I just don't see it in her. I feel she's happy to stay on the back foot. She's happy to get those points, tick, tick, tick over, get the decision win, go, cool, I got a decision, I win. Can I get like a title fight now? And you're like, for what? Well, what did you do? You know, even in a regional career, she was only getting a couple of finishes here and there. She isn't a finisher, you know. She's with Araujo, like you said, Will. She'll mix in takedowns. She's happy to go for that. She's got the striking. She's got output. She's a tough fighter. Like the Jessica Rai fight, that was a good fight. That was a good scrap. That Jessica Rai was just a wiser, more experienced veteran. Just knew how to win. You know, that was all it was. Vivi has recovered well from loss. Yeah, there you go. Look at this. I have a feeling she'll get it done. Caitlin's wrestling scares me though. Caitlin's been hitting harder later. She may have Cavillo and Calderwood bad. Yeah, and for me, I think Viviane, I don't know how many of you guys and girls who are listening have sparred or any done striking. If you're defending, it's fucking exhausting. And it sounds weird because you're not doing anything. If you're just blocking punches, because you have to tense up. So you've got to try and breathe, get your breathing technique and block. It exhausts the muscles highly. And if Viviane can get the output where, like you're saying before, if she can land those strikes, get those hands on her, it will start to tire Caitlin out a little bit more than she would be normally. Because if you look, like you said, Will, the Carvalho fight, she was awful game plan. I don't know what she was doing there. Caitlin didn't have to do much, didn't look tired, didn't look like a hard fight to go. I think with Viviane, she's a bit more aggressive, a bit more, not dirty, but she's a bit harder on her. And I think this is when I think you might see Viviane again get like a takedown, end of the round, you know, last minute, 30 seconds. You know, get a takedown to kind of secure the round because it might be close. Well, like you say, Caitlin has a way of fighting and making it look like it's close to judges anyway. A takedown can make a difference. So I'm going Viviane as well. I think she's got the ability to kind of get the striking and a late takedown each round, get a decision win, and do a Caitlin to her.
Yeah. Now we're into the two big fights here that kind of take a little bit of a kind of detour when it had Edwards and Diaz. That would have been a nice one to have in this card here. But co-main event here, Tony El Kukui Ferguson against Beneil Dariush. Beneil's probably one of I actually think he's my favourite fighter in that division. I think that he's just so... I think the reason I say that is because I bet on this guy, I think, for the last 5 or 6 fights, and he finds a way to win or he finds a way to do something. So, but it's a great fight here. Looking forward to kind of hearing your breakdown on it. Who have you got?
Mate, who have I got? I hated the fight getting made because I love Beneil as well. I've interviewed him in the past. Super nice dude. But at the same time, I've loved Tony Ferguson for such a long time because he is such an unorthodox style of fighter. Past few fights, though, I think we can say that he's not for how we usually see him fight. There we go. I call it, element surprise. Decision, there you go. Like the Charles Oliveira fight, like Tony Ferguson looked like he was making his UFC debut on short notice against a veteran in the game. I couldn't get my head around it. I don't know about you, Will, but that, like, he just got ragdolled. I could not get my head around how he got controlled to. I understand Charles. Now, to be fair to Charles Oliveira, then he showed a level of grappling that he's not needed to for a while, but he just showed like that armbar at the end of that first round. God.
Yeah.
It was gopping, and he fought through it. So you look there and you go, right, Tony's crazy. He can handle that. He could bend his arm, and he keeps going. Fair enough. But he's open to the submissions. Right? Okay, that's knowledgeable. Beneil Dariush is a very good grappler, ladies and gentlemen. He's a very good grappler. Very high-level submission artist. You know, grappling competitions coming out of his ears. Golds here, there, and everywhere. He's just been with Javier Cordero and just learned how to kick ass. So, like, I think a lot of people don't even know what his credentials are with grappling, and they kind of forget about it. If I'm Beneil Dariush, I'm looking at that Charles Oliveira fight thinking, you know what, Tony's got submissions, but he's also vulnerable on the ground there. There's a gap, there's an opportunity. If I'm Beneil Dariush, I want to get takedowns on Tony Ferguson. I want to get him down, pin him, get pressure on him, land ground and pound, and just keep it on him. Now, Tony didn't look tired too much in the fight either. You know, he looked like he had good cardio for the 3 rounds. He looked solid. But I just felt there was no urgency from Tony Ferguson. I felt there was no, I need to get a fucking win here. I need to get this last round. Where was Tony Ferguson? I know he had one arm, but there was no Hail Marys. It just didn't happen. He had like a half a chance for a DOS, like a half a chance. Beneil Dariush, if people don't realize that, he could do the same thing here. He can get him down and he could just grapple fest him and just get on top and just keep the pressure on. Man, I think that I'm taking Dariush. You go, I hate the fight for Tony. We should have taken more time off. Yeah, also find a guy that's underrated will lower Tony's stock, probably more than it should. Beneil is better grappler than Oliveira. Turned down a fight against Beneil. Yeah, there you go. This is what I mean, guys. You know, people don't know that the credentials of Beneil Dariush, and he's a freaking beast on the ground. But like I said, the Diego Ferreira fight was a stand-up. The Holtzman fight, stand-up. You got the Closer fight was stand-up. You know, he just stands up and beats the crap out of people as well as getting the submissions. I love Tony Ferguson. I do. I think he's one of the top lightweights for a long time. 37 years old. I'm not saying he's out of it at all, but you're definitely not hitting your prime. You're not hitting your prime at 37. You can get bent. It's not happening. There definitely maybe is. He's probably stalling. And I feel that with all the injuries had over the years, the lack of ability to fight on a regular basis is a big factor. Justin Gaethje war, let's say that way. If that Justin Gaethje war, that was in May 2020. Then in December, had a bit of time off. Charles Oliveira just ragdolled him, and he's back again for this fight. You know, I actually going to go Beneil Dariush. Honestly, mate, I think Beneil's striking's clean. I think he is open to getting hit. Don't get me wrong. Tony Ferguson go for crazy elbows, but I just don't know what Tony I'm seeing these days. I don't know if Tony Ferguson, the Charles Oliveira one's going to turn up, or are we going to get another Tony Ferguson that we saw from a few years back where he was just kicking ass, you know, like Kevin Lee won. That was a good one. Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone, but I don't know, bro. I'm going to go Beneil Dariush as well. I feel like he's got a chance here. Yeah, should have taken time off before getting back for the Oliveira fight. Here we go. Yeah, big time. Big Willie back in house. Yes, he is, Thomas. But Will, that's who I'm going with. I'm going Beneil, man. I think he could get a decision win. I think he can maybe wrestle and get the 3 rounds under his belt.
I'm on the Dariush side as well. I just think that Ferguson is showing signs of being I mean, 37 in this division. Was it 36, 37 years old in this
37.
division?
He's 37.
I just think that that's
like
old.
Jim Millers and stuff like that. Your Donald Cerrone's.
That's a long time. Now, I think Chandler's a fair old age, but when you think Chandler's not been fighting, like he's been fighting the best guys that you can in Bellator, but he's not had these kind of murderous rule killers that someone like Ferguson's had. I mean, he's had them for your Gaethjes, your RDAs. He's had all those fight preparations for Khabib. He's had to pull out on like weigh-in day because stuff's been happening. He's had injuries. He's had personal stuff. And then you've seen that the kind of wear and tear starting to show him in the Gaethje fight. Now, Gaethje can do that. Gaethje fought a good fight there. And then Oliveira, I think someone said here, the blueprint. Daniel, he's saying right there, the blueprint for winning this fight is getting takedowns. And I think that Benny's one of the best, most well-rounded guys at 155 across all aspects. I think his striking's very good. He's clearly got power. He's clearly got great jiu-jitsu skills. He's got great wrestling. He can put it all together. I know I've been betting Beneil Dariush for his last 6 fights, but like that last fight, he kind of scared me a little bit because he was just coming forward with his chin there. So I do think his chin's there to be cracked by someone really, really hard, and we've seen him knocked out by big, powerful blows in the past. I'm just not sure that Tony's the one-punch kind of guy to really put someone like Dariush down. For me, I just see Dariush getting off on his strikes, getting in takedowns. Do I see him controlling Ferguson? Ferguson's like really crafty on the ground, but I think there's going to be spots in here where he'll be on the back. He can be there for maybe a minute or so, and then back on the feet. I think he's a pretty clean striker, big power. But like I say, I'm interested to see whether he comes at Tony because Tony can counter very well. But I'm one of the people I'm going to say is I think that Tony's. I don't want to say he's done. It could be, but I think against these top guys, and I think that Benny is in his prime now. I think that what he's shown is that, like you would say, he can do everything. I think this is the fight that he's been asking for. One of these big names.
Yeah.
Someone said he was supposed to fight Oliveira, and Oliveira pulled out of that fight. I think that Beneil can beat a lot of guys in this division. I mean, the top guys. I think people don't want to fight someone like a Beneil Dariush because he is so well versed in so many different aspects of the game, and I think he's a dark horse, honestly, to win the UFC belt within the next year. I've got him to win this fight here. Just don't get crazy and get into one of these kind of back and forth, kind of knock him, drag him out fights. And I think he wins this fight. I don't want to say comfortably, but like Daniel said, the blueprint's there for victory, where I think he can mix it up a little bit and kind of go from there. So I've got Beneil Dariush to win that one, probably via decision in that one there. Right. On to the main event now. And this was one that, like I say, you look at this main event here and you're like, Michael Chandler, one fight in the UFC, and then he's like to the top of the division. I'm just like, now I know Pori could have easily been in this spot against either one of these guys, but he chose the money fight, which I think is actually very smart for him, because I think whether he wins or loses that fight with McGregor, I think this fight's probably still on the table. You don't obviously want to take an L in that division, but with a win, he's absolutely primed. They're ready to get this title shot, and like a loss, depending on the way the division's looking, he could probably get a shot at that title as well. But I am struggling with this fight. I'll be honest with you. I wanted to, when I was coming into it, I was very certain that Charles Oliveira was going to win it. And then watching fights, I'm not sure. I think I'm more on the Michael Chandler side, which kind of surprised me. But this was the same with Dan Hooker. I went into that one expecting Dan Hooker to do business, and then I watched some fights, and just because we don't watch Bellator all the time, at least I don't get you don't watch it all the time. And I went in there thinking, right, Hooker's going to kind of piece him up at distance and stop the takedowns. And then when I was watching, I was like, Chandler's got an opportunity to win this fight here, and I actually bet him. I think I can't remember what the odds were, maybe plus 150. I want to say, I could be wrong on that, but loved what he's shown in that fight. He's shown he's got knockout power, which is something he's not overly shown too much in Bellator. He comes from that wrestling background. I think this is where I think what he does in this fight is he uses this championship experience that he had in Bellator. And like, you can say what you want about Bellator, but he's had that championship experience where he's been in there and kind of won rounds and won fights and been in 5-round fights, where Oliveira, we've not really seen that. But I have loved what I've seen from Oliveira in the last, 3 years probably? Where we've seen him, like, considering how long this guy's been in the UFC, but his last... 3 years, I want to say, around about there, he is just like taking his game to the next level. Obviously, the guy's got the most submissions in the UFC, but his striking is like shit hot, like really, really dangerous, very aggressive with full flying knees, elbows, big kicks everywhere. And like I say, he's really shown that in his last couple of fights when he's beaten. You can take who you want from your Giagos, Jim Miller, David Tamer, Nick Lentz. I think he should beat all those guys, but then you move up to your next level of Kevin Lee, who's a top 10 fighter, in my opinion, in that division. And then Tony Ferguson is one of the tougher guys to fight, and he fought a flawless fight, in my opinion, there. But I've got a funny feeling that Michael Chandler's going to come in here, and I don't know what it is, I think he's going to knock out Charles Oliveira at some point in this fight. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Michael Chandler is going to be the new UFC lightweight champion. I think that he's going to mix up now. And saying that, you have to be very careful at all points against Oliveira, because he can knock you out, he can submit you. But like I said, I went into this one thinking I really like Charles Oliveira. When I was watching some fights, I was like, geez, I think I'm actually going the Michael Chandler side. So Michael Chandler's going to be my pick. I'm going to watch more fights in these two over the next couple of days and really try and solidify my pick. But I am leaning on the Michael Chandler side here to win the belt here and become the new champ at 155.
Yeah, I think people might write off Chandler because, like you say, the Bellator link. They might say he's not fought, but like you said in the comment section, guys, he has fought Pitbull. Phenomenal fighter. I think it's hard to even write him off as a contender. Brent Primus, phenomenal fighter. Will Brooks in his day at Bellator was actually good. I know you don't believe it because he came to UFC and was gopping, but he was actually very good for a period of time. So don't write him off on that one. Striking fight go of who you're going to think wins there. I think you got knocked down. Grappling might happen. Well, if you're Charles Oliveira, you might try to fall back. With a Chandler strike, Chandler throws a punch, doesn't land it, maybe makes it look like it has landed, falls onto his back and baits in Chandler into his guard. I would not be shocked to see Charles Oliveira do a sneaky thing like that. He's very smart and crude in that way, but Chandler's given up like a 5-inch reach as loss in advantages to Charles Oliveira. He's shorter. He's going to go for that tried and tested body shot with the right, looping left hook over the top with the hands, over the gloves. And he's just going to do that. You'll watch him in the fight. He'll do it from the get-go. He'll be coming down low, punching the stomach, stepping back, watching the reaction of Oliveira, see if Oliveira draws his hands down. And as soon as he sees that, if he sees him start doing that, that's it. He's going to throw that right and then just come upstairs over the top of the left. And that's what he's going to go for. If I'm Charles Oliveira, I'm grabbing him straight away. Bollocks to letting him get that. Because Chandler's explosive. He's got a lot of explosion about him. He's very athletic. He's got a lot of power. Close that distance, get him back, get close, clinch him. Charles Oliveira's clinch is deadly these days. Charles Oliveira has a deadly clinch. Where did that come from? He could jump into a triangle if he wants. He can elbow you. He can knee you. You got to also remember, Charles Oliveira, I hope his camp have went, we need to drill knees. When he comes in, we throw a knee straight up the middle, no matter what it is. He comes in, knee down the middle. He goes for a takedown, he gets it with the knee. He goes for a strike with the hands, he gets it with the knee. You go straight in hard with that. You can hurt him. It is hard. Oliveira also has a habit of trying to close distance when he fights. Against Chandler, that's bad news. He'll get caught. He will. I'm trying to look at both sides of the argument for both the fighters, because Chandler's going to use explosion. He won't use the wrestling. It would be absolute suicide to try and get Oliveira to the ground. There's no point. I know Paul Felder did it, but I can't see Chandler doing it as well, where he just gets the ground and pound and gets him out of there. Yeah. I don't see it going 5 rounds because I just can't. I can't see where it would go 5 rounds in the fight. I think Oliveira's too good on the ground to get a submission. There's no way Chandler. There's not Tony Ferguson bar I mentioned before. I'm telling you now, Chandler would tap on that. There's not a lot of people that wouldn't tap to that. Ferguson's just fucking weird. Oliveira's got opportunities on the ground, but on the feet, he needs to use the knees as a counter or a deterrent for Chandler coming in to close that distance. But stylistically, I kind of sway towards Chandler too. It just kind of gripes me to say it because I feel like the Bronx earned the title shot, should probably get the title. He's done everything. He's done loads in the UFC, but I don't think that's the end of him if he did lose his fight. Because who the hell else wants to fight Charles Oliveira after it? Probably not a lot of folk. I just think styles make matchups, and I think the Mike Chandler fight's a good one for Oliveira. Yeah, I kind of just think that body shot, that right body shot and left hook, it just plays in my brain. I just see it repetitively happening. And I see Oliveira just putting those hands down, lights out. I'll go Chandler, but I wouldn't be surprised if Oliveira was sneaky and then faked the strike down to the ground and got like a submission game going on off his back and kind of lured him into a triangle. But I'll go with Chandler. But if it hits that mat, good night, fucking Chandler.
I really like to see Charles Oliveira have the belt. Honestly,
I would.
When I was sitting there listening to you talk, then I was thinking to myself, I mean, this kid's been around forever in the UFC, and he looked like he was always going to be one of those guys that gatekeeper into featherweight, lightweight, maybe a top 10 guy. I really didn't think he would be up there title-wise, like in a title shot, but then he's actually just progressed his game so much to he's moved to the next level. So, and like I say, this is Chandler's second fight in the UFC, and it's his first in front of the crowd. Now, I think in Abu Dhabi they had some fans. That was
it was like a limited number.
Limited number. There wasn't many, but this is 15,000, and like that's going to be
solid numbers.
Yeah, it's bright lights. It's going to be kind of a lot to take in. I think this might be one of the biggest fights that he's probably ever fought in front of, if not the biggest. So, a really good, interesting fight. I'm really interested because Chandler's like one fight and then he's up here, but I can see why the UFC have put him in there. Great fight. Looking forward to that one there and seeing how it goes down. So that's our picks, guys, for UFC 262. I'll talk kind of briefly about the betting side of things. I've not looked into it all that much. Like I said at the beginning here, these lines are all really close. So you have to be like really spot on and your picks are like Oliveira's minus 130, Chandler's plus 110, Beneil's minus 160, plus 140, Tony. So they're all relatively close. And I like kind of cards like that where there's not stupid favourites, kind of like I think we've seen, was it Bellator last week, and there was some big ones, but there was also some massive underdogs came through in that one. So some of the spots that I like initially, I like Barboza plus money. I think that I might jump on that before it gets to minus money and there. Beneil Dariush, I would like that number to be a little bit lower. He's like minus 163 in the UK. If it got round about that minus 150, I think I might be tempted to take that. I don't know about the main event. I like the Chandler plus money side, but this is one of these, I can tell already that we're on Monday. It's going to be one of these fights I'm watching on Thursday. Just try to see if I can nitpick and find a...
What about inside the distance, Will?
In what fight? The main event?
Yeah.
Let me check that out.
I wouldn't imagine it will go to distance.
Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 365. So I don't want that.
They know. Damn it.
Yeah. But
look Oliveira, at that. Boom. Jimmy's in the house.
Oliveira inside the distance is plus 110. I don't really like that. I would rather just bet this, like when in cards like these here, just bet the side that you're kind of most confident in and kind of go from there. So, like I say, very early on in the week here, I'm going to take a wee bit of time to really try and dig into this and watch some Jacare. Jacare's actually a side I quite like as well. I think that he could be, this is a better fight for him than the kind of previous kind of couple of fights. So, Barboza, Jacare, Dariush is kind of where I'm looking right now. Maybe Jamie Pickett, because I don't like Jordan Wright at all. I don't think he's all that great. Yeah, so that's kind of who I'm going with there. So that's our picks, guys. Thank you all for everybody that's been chatting with us in the box there, and it's been showing up in the screen there. Much appreciated. It's good to be back. I will see you probably next month for the next pay-per-view installment.
He's got Spotify, deals, so that's it now, Will.
Until then, keep throwing the likes. Just keep subscribing if you're new to the channel. Just help us grow the channel. Like I say, I'll see you soon enough. Life's getting in the way. I've got a baby coming. I've got stuff to do. So I'll leave it to John to kind of.
He's doing a little last-minute comment there. Check you out. You've been sneaking in the whole time, you little rascal. Thomas Monin, bro, just let you know, that fight's been moved to the week after against Edmund. If you missed out earlier on, it's just been moved a week. We don't know why. We saw it before. I've already done a tape study, so saves me doing a fight next week for that. But yeah. Like I kind of echo Will's sentiments then. It's great to have Will back. I told you to be back, and he'll be back for the next pay-per-view. Life is something that happens to us all, and we work around it. And yeah, great to have you all here. Love you all. Thank you all for your comments. Honestly, makes a big difference to everything we do here. Your interaction is what makes this podcast, guys. So with these live streams that we're doing now, we kind of find it just a new venture this year. I've really enjoyed it so far, bro, and Will enjoys doing the live streams too. So thanks for joining in, guys and girls, and we'll see you all next week. Well, I'll see you next week, sorry. I'll see you all next week, all right? Will see you next month. I'll see you next week, all right? I love you all. Okay, take care, everyone.